You've dated guys from yonder high and low, and a girl can fulfill her sexual desires if she wants to, right? To which there's nothing wrong with that. Being sexually free and promiscuous is very common nowadays. Lasting love and relationships, not so much. Maybe these guys you've dated in the past, you've been very sexual with them very early on. Heck, you might have had sex with them and then started dating them, which is more common than you think. Now, why would you do this? Well, maybe you were just feeling really horny and he was just looking really good that night. Or maybe you think because of the times we're in, if you don't give him sex, then he will just go and get it from someone else and you'll lose your chance to have something real with him, that he won't like you as much. And that is so far from reality, you don't even know. In fact, you having sex with him really early on and quickly, like on the first date, makes him like you less. And here's why. You see, you don't use fish bait to catch a shark. You don't entertain in being sexually promiscuous if you want to find a long-lasting relationship. You don't entertain in being sexually promiscuous if you want to find love. Is it possible that once in a blue moon, a shark might nibble on the fish bait? Yeah, it's possible. But any good fisherman knows that's not how you catch the prize. So you start dating this guy and you guys are having sex right out the gate. You're having a lot of fun, things seem to be going really well, and then after a few weeks, you feel him lose interest in you. He's not making as much of an effort as he used to. He's not texting you as much. He's not responding as promptly. Now you may be thinking, okay, if a guy loses interest in me because the physical mystery is now gone, then that's not the kind of guy that I want anyway. And I completely agree with you. But what that means is that the foundation of the relationship needs to be one of companionship, not lust. Because in any long-term relationship, the sex is going to get less exciting. It's going to be less mysterious. You're gonna become familiar with each other. And so if the foundation of the relationship is one of a sexual nature, then when things start to calm down, the core of your relationship starts to crumble. This is why there are so many girls who can't get out the cycle of meeting a guy, dating him for several months, and then it not amounting to anything. And the most common thread I see running through all these kinds of situationships is that the foundation was built upon sexual lust and desire. And it's never gonna last like that. This is also why rebound relationships hardly ever work. Now to you, maybe having sex on the first date might not mean that the foundation of the relationship is that, but to a guy, it does. Let's think for a sec. Let's say you're telling your friends about this really amazing first date you had with this guy. You're telling them about how you had some really deep chats, about how you have the same values, about how you have the same goals in life. You're telling your friends about how you really felt a connection. And then you tell them that at the end of the night, you went home back to his and you had sex. And then you go into extensive details about that. And I mean extensive details. Oh, I've been privy to a couple of female conversations before. Now imagine a guy talking to his guy friend about the exact same date. He doesn't tell them about your goals, your aspirations, what your values are. He's only talking about the fact that you guys had sex, and he's telling them how good or great or bad it was. And the crazy thing is, even the good, genuine guys who have decent intentions will only talk about the physical side of the date. Now that tends to make a lot of women think, why are guys all trash? Why can't they focus on anything besides sex? And I get you. But let me put it this way to help you understand why. When you tell your friends about your recent trip to the cinema, are you telling them about the movie that you went to see? Or are you telling them about the trailers that showed before the movie started, how great the popcorn was, how great the drink was? No. Of course you're not, because those aren't the reasons for your trip to the cinema. I mean, sure, yeah, you can appreciate the good food, you appreciate the good drink, and appreciate the great trailers for films that you might watch later. But the whole reason you went to the cinema in the first place was to watch the film that you'd chosen to see. The whole reason why a guy goes on a first date with a girl is because he is physically attracted to her. He wants something physical to happen eventually. Because it doesn't matter how kind or sweet or ethical or moral this woman is, if he didn't look at her and go, oh, I would like to be sexual with her, then he wouldn't be there. Now, that's not saying that guys can't focus on the emotional, but the physical is the whole reason why he took a romantic interest. So how do you make a guy focus on everything outside of the physical? By not giving him a physical to talk about, i.e., not having sex on the first date. By not having anything physical on the first date, he has no choice but to focus on the emotional connection side of things, at least on the first date. Because no matter what kind of connection you think you have over the dinner table, if you have sex with him, the foundation is going to be a lustful one, which is why most dating phases nowadays don't make it past 6 months. They fail because they've got the wrong foundation. Now, I'm not saying that you should become a Mormon and stay celibate till marriage, because you've got needs, right? But it's about developing the physical intimacy as you develop the emotional intimacy. Don't you find it interesting that as we've become more promiscuous as a society, we are in less relationships now, and our relationships don't last anywhere near as long? And not just relationships, but marriage as well. Here's how a guy's brain works when it comes to committing sex to one woman. Let's say you've got a garden, and any guy you let into your garden is a guy that you're letting into you and your life. I came out weird. Anyway, with this garden, you're not just going to let anyone into it, right? So you put a fence around it. But let's say you built this fence really low. A guy hops over the fence and into your garden. Great, you've got a guy in your garden and he's there for you to enjoy. Now, like any garden, there's going to be some maintenance work. You know, trim the hedges, water the plants, pull out the weeds. And once he starts seeing that he has to make some effort to maintain the garden, what does he do? He just hops back over the fence and leaves. Why? Because the fence was so low that he feels that he can just pop back in whenever he feels he wants to. Now imagine if you built your fence 7 feet high. Not so high that no guy thinks he can climb it, but high enough that a guy goes, okay, I have to make some real investment and effort here. I was having a conversation on a podcast I was invited to the other day. And it's funny because women say that they want chivalry, but they never choose to be with the guy who simps for them. She has no respect for him, even though he's giving all the chivalrous behavior that she says that she wants. And guys say that sex is really important in a relationship, yet they're not committed to girls who hands them sex on a plate. But the reality is, as human beings, we only value things that we have to earn. It's really that simple. This is why, as the woman, it's really important that you set the physical pace of how and when the physical intimacy develops. And the other reason this works in your favor is because when you guys go through a rough patch in your relationship, which you inevitably will because that's part of growing together as a couple, when you eventually go through a rough patch, he will never doubt your faithfulness to him. He will never question you. He will never think that you could cheat on him just because you're going through not a great time right now. He will know that you're not the kind of girl who was going to go out on a girl's night out, get tipsy, and then end up sleeping with some random guy you meet, because you've demonstrated to him, he's got experience with you, that you are not the type of girl who shares her body easily. And these are one of the things that guys value incredibly highly in a long-term partner. And so having sex on the first date communicates the exact opposite of this value. Now, if you're tired of getting the same results, especially from the first date, then enroll in my Claim Your Man program below, where I guide you through from the first date to commitment. Honestly, I literally walk you through it by the hand. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, keep it slick.